Breaking news from Indiana Fever camp. Aliyah Boston has returned to Indianapolis, and she's not just back, she's grinding harder than ever before. Head coach Stephanie White was left absolutely speechless watching Boston's transformed physique and explosive new training regimen. The former Rookie of the Year is sending shockwaves through the league with this unexpected development that nobody saw coming. The competition should be worried, because what Boston is doing right now changes everything for the Fever's championships aspirations. The WNBA landscape is about to undergo a seismic shift, and it's all happening in Indianapolis. Earlier today, social media erupted when footage emerged of Aliyah Boston putting in work at the Indiana Fever training facility. But this wasn't just any ordinary workout, this was a statement. Boston, who dominated her rookie season and established herself as a cornerstone of the Fever franchise, has clearly been on a mission this off-season. Sources close to the team report that head coach Stephanie White literally stopped in her tracks when she first witnessed Boston's transformed game and conditioning. "I've been coaching for years, but I've never seen this level of dedication," White reportedly told staffers after watching Boston's workout. "She's completely transformed her game." Let's rewind a bit to understand why this is such a big deal. When Boston entered the league as the #1 overall pick in 2023, expectations were sky high. The South Carolina standout didn't disappoint, averaging impressive numbers and claiming Rookie of the Year honors. But as is the case with many young stars, there were aspects of her game that needed refinement. What makes this current development so significant is the specific areas Boston has targeted in her training. According to team insiders, she's been working extensively with renowned skills coach Keith Porter, the same trainer who has helped transform the games of several all-stars across the league. "The man, the myth, the menace," Boston captioned on her Instagram story, referring to Porter and their intense training sessions. This wasn't just a casual endorsement, it was an acknowledgement of the grueling work they've been putting in behind closed doors. The footage that has everyone talking shows Boston moving with unprecedented explosiveness. Her footwork appears sharper, her shooting range has extended significantly, and perhaps most importantly, her conditioning looks to be at an entirely different level. Indiana Fever fans haven't had much to celebrate in recent years, but the combination of Boston's development and the addition of Caitlin Clark in this year's draft has created a palpable buzz around the franchise. The team that once seemed perpetually rebuilding now has two cornerstone pieces that could potentially dominate the league for years to come. What's particularly striking about Boston's off-season transformation is how calculated it appears to be. Those who have followed her career closely know that she's always been a deliberate, methodical player who thinks several steps ahead. This approach to her off-season training reflects that same mindset. League analysts who have reviewed the training footage note several key improvements in Boston's game. First, her lateral quickness has improved dramatically. In today's WNBA, centers need to be able to switch defensively and guard multiple positions. Boston was already solid in this area, but the new footage shows her moving like a wing player while maintaining her power. Second, her shooting mechanics have been refined. While Boston has always been efficient around the basket, extending her range has been a priority. The clips show her confidently knocking down mid-range jumpers and even stretching out to the three-point line with a smoother, quicker release. Third, and perhaps most important for her long-term success, her conditioning appears to be at an elite level. The WNBA season is grueling, and maintaining peak performance throughout requires exceptional stamina. Boston looks noticeably leaner while maintaining her strength, a combination that should terrify opponents. She's moving like someone who dropped 15 pounds while adding muscle, noted one WNBA scout who requested anonymity. That's the kind of transformation that changes careers. Coach Stephanie White's reaction to all this has been particularly telling. White, who took over the Fever coaching job in 2023, has been praised for her player development skills throughout her coaching career. Her reported amazement at Boston's progress speaks volumes about how significant this evolution might be. "Stephanie was practically speechless," said a team source, and that doesn't happen often. "She immediately started redesigning plays to maximize Aliyah's new capabilities." This development comes at a perfect time for the Fever. With the addition of Clark, the team's offensive dynamics were already going to change significantly. Having Boston elevate her game simultaneously creates a potential 1-2 punch that could accelerate the Fever's timeline from rebuilding to contending. The timing is also significant considering the competitive landscape of the WNBA, with teams like the Las Vegas Aces, New York Liberty, and Connecticut Sun loading up on talent. The Fever needed their core players to take major steps forward to close the gap. Boston's transformation suggests she's ready to answer that call. Social media has been buzzing with reactions since the training footage leaked. Former players, analysts, and fans have all weighed in on what this could mean for Boston and the Fever. Maybe she's heard all the noise, everyone has been working, and we need to start the season hot and fitter than ever, commented one fan, highlighting the competitive nature of the upcoming season. Another supporter added, "About time, she has a month to be in shape for day one. Surely she'll be better than ever." What's particularly interesting about Boston's off-season approach was her participation in Athletes Unlimited's unrivaled league. While she didn't dominate those games as some might have expected, it now appears that may have been by design. Sources close to Boston suggest she was using those games primarily for specific skill development rather than going all out competitively. "She was smart during Unrivaled," explained a former teammate. "She wasn't trying to risk injury or show all her cards. It was about getting reps on specific aspects of her game in a competitive environment." This methodical approach speaks to Boston's basketball IQ and long-term vision for her career. Rather than chasing highlights in an off-season league, she used it as a laboratory to experiment with skills she's now refining with Porter back in Indianapolis. The Fever coaching staff is reportedly already redesigning portions of their playbook to accommodate Boston's expanded skill set. While the specifics remain closely guarded, insiders suggest we'll see Boston utilized in more diverse ways offensively, including as a facilitator from the high post and as a pick-and-pop threat. "They're drawing up actions we haven't seen from this team before," said a league source familiar with the Fever's plans. "Stuff that takes advantage of having two elite basketball minds in Boston and Clark working in tandem." The partnership between Boston and Clark is particularly intriguing, given their complementary skill sets. Clark's elite court vision and passing ability could create numerous opportunities for Boston, especially if defenders need to respect her improved shooting range. "It's going to be a nightmare for opposing coaches," predicted a rival assistant coach. "If Boston can consistently hit that 15-footer and occasionally stretch to three, how do you guard their two-person game? Clark's passing with Boston's finishing and now expanded range, that's trouble." What makes Boston's development even more significant is the historical context. The WNBA has seen relatively few big players successfully expand their games to include perimeter skills mid-career. If Boston can buck this trend, she wouldn't just be improving her individual game, she could be helping to redefine position expectations in the women's game. Notably, White's reaction to Boston's training doesn't just reflect excitement about the upcoming season, it suggests a long-term vision coming together. When White took the Fever job, she spoke about building a sustainable contender rather than looking for quick fixes. Boston's development, coupled with Clark's arrival, aligns perfectly with that vision. "Stephanie sees this as validation of the culture they're building," explained a team source. "When your number one pick comes back transformed like this, it sends a message throughout the organization about expectations and standards." The training footage also revealed subtle details about Boston's approach that have impressed basketball purists. Her footwork, always a strength, has become even more precise. She's shown working through complex sequences of post moves with the fluidity of a much smaller player. "The footwork is what jumped out at me," said a skills coach who has worked with several WNBA players. "Her balance points are perfect, her sequencing is tight, and there's zero wasted motion." That's the kind of detail work that separates good from great. While Boston hasn't publicly discussed her off-season regimen in detail, her social media activity has provided clues. References to early morning workouts, nutrition adjustments, and mindfulness practices suggest a holistic approach to her development. This tracks with what those close to her describe as a meticulous personality that leaves nothing to chance. "She's been tracking everything," said a source familiar with her routine. "Sleep, nutrition, recovery metrics, shooting percentages from different spots, everything is documented and analyzed." This scientific approach to improvement reflects the evolution of professional women's basketball. As the WNBA continues to grow and resources increase, players are adopting increasingly sophisticated training methods. Boston appears to be at the forefront of this trend. Fever fans have responded to the news with understandable excitement. After years of rebuilding and lottery appearances, the franchise finally appears positioned for sustained success. Season ticket inquiries reportedly spiked following the release of Boston's training footage, adding to the already substantial boost from Clark's drafting. The phone hasn't stopped ringing. said a Fever ticket representative who requested anonymity. Between the draft and now this Boston news, there's a feeling that something special is building here. What's particularly encouraging for the Fever is that Boston's improvement addresses specific needs the team had last season. While her rookie campaign was impressive, the team struggled with spacing and defensive versatility. Boston's expanded range and improved mobility directly addressed these concerns. It's like she did a gap analysis of the team's needs and tailored her off-season work to fill those gaps, observed a league analyst. That's the kind of team-first mentality that builds championships. The broader implications for the league are significant as well, with viewership expected to hit record highs this season due to Clark's arrival and the overall rising profile of the WNBA. Having established stars like Boston elevate their games creates compelling storylines for new fans to follow. This is exactly what the league needs, said a former WNBA executive. Yes, the rookie class will bring eyeballs, but seeing players like Boston take these huge developmental leaps shows the improving quality of play throughout the league. As training camp approaches, all eyes will be on how Boston's off-season work translates to game situations. Exhibition games will provide the first glimpse, but the true test will come when the regular season begins and opponents have scouted her new capabilities. There's always an adjustment period, cautioned a veteran WNBA coach. Teams will test her, force her to rely on those new skills under pressure. The great ones embrace that challenge. If early indications hold true, Boston appears more than ready for that challenge. Those who have witnessed her training describe a player with newfound confidence, not just in her physical abilities but in her overall approach to the game. There's a different look in her eyes now, said someone present for recent workouts. It's the look of someone who knows they've put in the work and is eager to show the results. As the Fever prepare for what could be their most anticipated season in franchise history, the partnership between Boston and Clark will dominate headlines, but it's Boston's personal evolution that might ultimately determine how far this team can go. Rookies, even great ones like Clark, have adjustment periods, noted a former player turned analyst, but a second-year player making a leap like Boston appears to have made, that can change a franchise overnight. The clock is now ticking toward the season opener and anticipation continues to build. For Coach White, who expressed such shock at Boston's transformation, the challenge now becomes harnessing this improved talent within a team concept. "Stephanie's got the best kind of problem now," said a coaching colleague. "How to maximize two young superstars who are both still discovering the heights of their potential." For Fever fans who have endured years of rebuilding, the wait appears to be over. The combination of Boston's evolution and Clark's arrival has created legitimate optimism that hasn't existed in Indianapolis for years. This franchise has been patient, made smart draft picks, and now we're seeing it all come together, observed a longtime season ticket holder. Boston's improvement is the clearest sign yet that the culture has changed. As the footage of Boston's training continues to circulate and generate buzz, one thing has become abundantly clear: the Indiana Fever are no longer rebuilding, they're built. And with Boston leading the way with her transformed game, the rest of the league has been put on notice. That's the inside scoop on Aliyah, Boston's game-changing transformation and how it left coach Stephanie White completely stunned. The Indiana Fever are positioned to take the WNBA by storm this season. If you enjoyed this breakdown of what's happening behind the scenes, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. I'll be bringing you exclusive updates on Boston, Clark, and the entire Fever squad all season long. Drop a comment below with your prediction for how many wins the Fever will get this year.